Greetings, I am Tom Earl. On this week's episode, I have a deep and spiritual conversation on yoga with Koi Core. Check it out. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the celebration. We know you could be anywhere. So the fact that you're here today, sharing your gifts, your time, your energy means the absolute world to us. We hope you know that during this time with us, during this space, that you are loved, you are valued. We appreciate you. I am not alone. I have an amazing guest. She goes by the name of Koi Core. How's it going today, Koi?
Hi, everyone.
How's life over there on your side of the world?
It's actually cloudy, but I'm feeling good today.
Nice. Koi Core is spiritually, mentally, and organically finding her way through yoga. She is based in New York, and we connected through Instagram and realized that let's have a dope conversation. And so here we are doing that, sharing it with you. So we appreciate you checking it out. How did you discover yoga?
It was, like I said, it was organic. Initially, I started doing yoga. No, actually, how I found it was 2013. I started doing Pilates because I used to do Pilates way back. So I started doing Pilates. Actually, was just romping around in the city, and I seen a little flyer for the yoga room. That's where I practice at in Long Island City, and it was like a promotion that they were running. And I said, all right, let me check it out. So I went there. I liked the vibe. I liked the space. And I started doing hot Pilates. And I did that for some time, for about 6 months. And then I started getting stronger. My core started getting stronger because, as you know, Pilates is a lot of core work.
Mm-hmm.
And then, back in a studio, they was talking about crow pose. And I was like, what's that? What is that? So they showed it to me. I went home. I did it. And I said, oh, okay. And actually, I seen this sister by the name of, I hope I'm saying her name right, Rachel Speaks. And she was just fly. It was a real simplistic pose. It was a forward fold. And she had just a tank on, shorts, skin was glowing, popping. She looked really nice. And I said to myself, that's something I want to do.
Mm.
So I started getting into yoga, and that was back in 2016, August. And I started doing hot yoga. And then from there, this is where we are.
Mm. How does it connect with you? Let's break one of these down one at a time. Let's start with spiritually. What does yoga do for you spiritually?
Well, I've never been like, I wouldn't say I believe in a higher spirit. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't one for, going to church religiously, but I believe in a high spirit. I believe in God, but I don't believe that you particularly have to go to a specific space to connect.
Yeah.
It's all around us. So, I'm always meditating, but I didn't know I was actually doing yoga. And I'm able to come back to myself. I'm a person that likes to disconnect for a minute and come back to me. So, spiritually, it lets me become one with the earth, with myself. It involves no one else.
Mm.
So spiritually, I need that to deal with my day-to-day,
Yeah.
to deal with the hustle and bustle of life. So that's how I connect spiritually with yoga.
It's wonderful. What do you do to meditate?
Well, in the morning, I get up, I have my Amala bracelets, and it's kind of like a private practice. I just take time out for me, and I sit and meditate. And sometimes I may speak, sometimes I don't. A lot of times I don't. I just kind of zone out.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm really getting to a whole connective thing with myself, I'll do the malas, I'll do the candles, I'll do my Buddhas, and I'll do the whole setup. But it doesn't really require that. That's when sometimes people ask me about meditation because they have a hard time just sitting and being with themselves. it doesn't really require all of that. It just requires for you to just listen and be still. So, that's something that I do on a day-to-day. Even if I'm in the bed and I'm just laying there, I'll take my malas and I'll just think about my day and what I have to do. And I just take some quiet time out for myself.
It's wonderful.
And that's all one needs to do to meditate.
What were you saying? Your malas? What's that?
To connect with. They do it for chanting, for meditation, and you count the beads as you go. If you're chanting, I have it just for it's the energy that it gives you, and this is white howlet, and it's for perception and clarity. And I have that near my bed, and so I always just grab it. So that's what.
For folks who are listening to the podcast rather than watching the video, how might you describe what it looks like?
Yeah, really fine beads, real fine beads. You can feel them; they real tactile, and they feel really nice in your hand. You can hold them any kind of way you want, whatever way speaks to you. You just hold the malas in you, whichever way you want. It's for your comfortability, for your spirit.
It's awesome. It's interesting how in different spiritual practices, there's something like that. Like Catholics have rosaries, in Islam, we have prayer beads that are in circuits of 33. So it's interesting that different spiritual practices, we have that in common, the beads that you go through as you pray. What do you think so helpful about connecting the spiritual to physical?
I mean, I say for me, and this is what I believe, you have to have connectivity for yourself. You have to be able to go inward before you can deal with the outward world. And, spirituality is very important. That's one of the things I want to do. I want to be able to teach children, because I believe I believe that it starts with children. If you are able to go inward as a child at 3, 4, when they can comprehend and they get to know thyself and know how to move in the world and know how to handle all these different stresses in the world, they'll be better people, because we're all going to have, stresses, and we're going to have situations. We're going to have things that we have to deal with as people. But when you know yourself and you know how to move and deal with that, you know how to react. You know how to calm and come to your center. And that's where your spirituality comes in, when you have a strong foundation. And that leads into the physical and how you move with people in situations. So they all interact, but you have to have a strong foundation. If you don't, that's when things come into play, like you're easily led, alcoholism, drugs, those type of things, because you try to get away from things that are inescapable. So spirituality is key.
What do you think the world would look like if, from a young age, systemically, our entire culture was taught these principles and practices that you're talking about?
Oh, the world would be a more respectable place. It would be more respectable. It would be more honest. It would be more genuine. It would be more real. There'd be a lot of sharing and talking and a lot of connectivity, not the disconnect that we have. Overall, it would be a better place.
Yes, I got the vision.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking, like, what would our entertainment, our movies, I bet our movies would have way less violence.
Yes, we would. And that's a release, because the violence comes because people are releasing the stress that they have. That's where violence comes from.
When you say know thyself, what does that mean to you?
But know thyself it's a writing in Africa on Adelphi, an African writings on the wall that says know thyself, and that's what the ancient Egyptians put. And they had all this astrology, yoga, all of this was way before when man was created. And it basically telling you to go. I keep reiterating that, and I keep saying know thyself, and I keep saying go inward, because that's what know thyself means. If you know yourself, you're able to maneuver and deal with life. If you don't know who you are, how could you function? So when you do yoga, and that's why when you do yoga and you go on your mat, it's just you and your mat. Ego steps to the side because your body is speaking to it, just you and your body. It's your spirit, it's your mind, it's your body. And it's telling you what you can do, what you cannot do. And you have to respect it. You have to listen to it. So it's nothing aiding you. It's no weights there. It's nothing else that's saying, okay, I can do this if I have this. I have this. You may have a block to aid you. And a more experienced yogin is not afraid of what's the word I look at? I was not afraid of aids like blocks and straps. They're there to help you to make your practice more efficient. So, know thyself is check yourself, know you, get to know you. And a lot of people don't want to spend the time alone to just get to know themselves. They're afraid of that. And I never was one like that. When I was a child, I always was alone, and I like to be by myself, and I like my own alone time. It gives me time to reflect, to self-reflect. So I never had a problem with that.
With a capital S, huh?
Excuse me?
With a capital S, huh? Know thyself with a capital S.
Yeah. Exactly.
You had started to talk about briefly there that there was yoga practices in ancient Egypt and Kemet. Is that true?
Yes.
That's dope.
See, the thing is with that, that's something that I'm learning along my way. Like I'm getting certified next month, and that's in Vinyasa Flow. Now, Kemet, yoga originated from Kemet. And now people have this perception that it started in India, and I'm still learning and reading on it. But from what I know, and from what I read, that it originated in Africa in Kemet. And what happened was when they migrated to India, they took the practice with them. And it stayed there. So it was thousands and thousands of years ago, but that's not where it originated from. Now, Kemetic yoga is the next step of what I want to do. It's a lot of different conduits as far as yoga. I want to do prenatal. I want to teach kids. I want to do Kemetic. So it's a lot of different avenues once you get that foundation down that I want to, start getting into. But that's where yoga originated from. And I want to know about it. I want to get certified. I want to get deeper more into that.
It's awesome. It's powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, kind of going off of that, what do you think are some other misconceptions or generalizations that people incorrectly have about yoga?
Okay. One misconception of yoga is that you have to have a specific body type to do it. And that's totally a misconception. If you have the ambition and you have a body, you can do yoga. It's that simple. It can be off-putting because a lot of times you see certain types of people doing it. So you think it's just for them, but that's totally not true. There's a sister called Jessamine, and she's a nice full-figure sister, and she's doing yoga. Once you start getting into it, your body will condition, and you'll be doing handstands, and you'll be doing splits, and you're doing all these different, beautiful things that you see people doing. If you just get on your mat, everybody started off a beginner. Nobody started off doing that. I really don't care who's doing it to this day that you are, inspired by, that you see. They had to start off in the foundation. Everybody was new. So that's one of the most huge misconceptions. So just do it, people. Just do it.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you speaking to that, because I think in fitness in general, there's like a fat phobia, and people try to elevate a certain body type as being stronger than others when it's totally a misconception. So I appreciate you speaking to that.
Yeah.
I think one of the other misconceptions, and maybe if you can speak to this, is, like people associate people who do yoga with kind of like privileged white ladies in gentrified neighborhoods, in their spare time, drinking Starbucks. Like, that's kind of the image people have, unfortunately, of yoga.
Yeah. See, the reason why with Western society and because they have the opportunity and the money, because yoga sometimes could be expensive. Mm-hmm. And it's not in the urban community so much. It's something that you have to find, you have to be already into, but it's not going to be brought to you. So that's why you see a lot of, basically white women of a certain size doing it. But we have a lot of groups, like that's why you have like on Instagram, you have Black Girl Yoga, you have Team Black Girl Yoga, you have Black Girl Do Pilates, Black Girl Do Yoga, because we have to let our sisters know that we are doing it. Mm. There are communities out there for us. So don't be, nervous. Don't be ashamed. Don't, feel that this is not for you. This is totally and completely for you. It's not for just one type. Mm. It's for all. Okay. And the exclusivity, like with Mantra, opening up their doors to say, okay, they was complicit in the fact that they weren't including us, that they said, we're going to rectify this and we're going to make sure that we are putting women of color out there to say, everybody's doing that. We're not going to be in a bandwagon as we were. Mm. And that was just maybe more of an ignorance on their part. It could have been that, but they cleared that up. And that's why they're now doing this Women of Wisdom series of women of color. And I appreciate them for that. And they're exposing a lot of women that's on Instagram that I didn't know about. So, I mean, I have, because on Instagram, it's a certain community of us doing it that are more well-known. And I support all my sisters. But these sisters here, they're certified. They're doing it. They have a committed practice as well. And just because they're not big on Instagram does not mean that they are not, because that's not really what it is about. In addition to that, if you have a huge following, that's fine. That's great. Everybody wants that because that's just putting you out there. That's cool. But also these women here that don't have a huge following, that are committed to their practice, they're in Mantra. And I was able and fortunate enough to be featured as well. And I appreciate it to them. And I want to say, Mantra, thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. I was going to ask you about that. So for folks who don't know, Mantra is a magazine?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mantra Wellness.
Here we go. Here's the front cover. I dig it.
So they feature me. I'm on page 54. They asked me a series of questions. They asked me 6 actually, and they featured me in one, and that hit it right on the head. What was the best advice? I can't give it out because they got to go get the magazine.
Of course.
But on page 54, and it's a lot of sisters that are doing yoga that you guys should pick up the magazines and totally support us because we're here for you. And I'm really they started doing this year, so they are bi-monthly magazine. So this was the 3rd installment because they come out every 6 months. So every other month out of the 12 months. And they do the series, I believe, every 3 months because they didn't do it in May. They skipped the month and now they did it in July. And I was in that.
It's awesome. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So before we were kind of talking about how yoga is like you and the mat, you and your core. Now we started talking a little bit about yoga and community. So what role does yoga play to connecting us with each other?
Well, see, that's, again, a journey because right now I'm still doing it at the studio. Mm-hmm. So it's connected me with people that are like-minded as myself. So it's putting me in a different community of people. So when I say yoga, I click with people that I click on a emotional level, more or less. We're like-minded. We're both doing yoga. So we both have the same practices and, life ideals. So we click. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as my community is concerned, I want to bring it back to my community because I want more people, women of color, Black men, Black women, Black children, to be exposed to it and be able to do it and bring it into their daily lives. So it hasn't hit my community the way that I want it to, but this is the stepping stone of what I'm doing and getting it to that point.
It's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start using Instagram to build community through yoga? Like, when did you start your handle and everything?
When I had Instagram for a while, but I wasn't really using that. I was on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And when I started posting my photos was, again, 2 years ago, back in July 2016. Mm-hmm. And it really kind of exploded. I really can't call it with that. I've always had a passion. My biggest passions are fashion and photography. Yoga's now the one first, because those were the two, and then now yoga's the third. So I just basically meshed those three together. And when I take my photos, because I know where I'm at physically, so I'm doing the poses that I know. I'm just taking them from different angles. I make, my backdrop, everything I do is calculated as far as how I want my photos to look. And because I know when I follow certain people, what I look to, and I look for inspiration, I look for something that's going to just stop me from scrolling. You just scroll, but that photo is like, whoa, that's nice. And that's purposeful. When people do that, it's dynamic. It stops you in your tracks. And that's basically the mindset when I do my photos. I want them to be as pretty and as nice as possible. And I love aesthetics. Mm. And that's the thing for me. Some people say, oh, you don't have to be like that. I practice every day. I'm committed to that. But when I put my photos out, that's my goal. And that's what I'm staying to. So that's why my followers, and when people DM me, they appreciate that. And they say I inspire them. And I love that. And I always, people DM me, I hit them immediately back because I appreciate the love and the support that I get. And the family of women that I'm getting on this journey are committed to their practice. A sister that I met, that she's close to me, Tawana, on her handle is Green Tea Tree 11. That's my girl. And she just got her certification. It's another sister, Goonie B Yogi, that I just met her. And she has a yoga studio in Brooklyn. We met. It's Yogi with Nikita. She lives in London. There's women that I'm connecting with on a genuine level that support me. And they're all about their practice. Mm. And I want to get my cipher of women that I appreciate and they inspire me, and to keep it going in that way. Because we basically want to do the same things, so that's basically that.
It's wonderful. Do you have any tips or recommendations to people looking to grow their community on Instagram?
Well, one tip is to keep it honest and to keep it aesthetically pleasing, because on Instagram, people are short-minded in the sense of people look at Instagram for pictures. Mm. That's where they look there. So they scroll, mind a minute, what's on, and that picture that stops them, whether it's a quote, and that's why I do quotes. I love quotes. And the pictures is what you're putting out there. You'll have a following, no doubt. You will have a following, but if you want a huge following, you have to be consistent as far as the pictures that you put out and how and in what content that your pictures are being perceived and how you put them out there. If you put them out there carelessly and you just put them out, you're going to have followers, but it might not be to the level that you want them. Mm. So I think with that, my advice and the tip would be just be more mindful of what pictures you put out and how you have them looking. Aesthetics is important.
It's awesome. Be intentional about it. It's not an accident.
Yeah.
So this is my year of courage. And the foundation of that is I wanted to have everyday conversations with people about courage. And so if you don't mind me asking, what is courage to you?
Courage is doing things that actually you fear. Mm. Without fear, there's no need for courage. Mm. So there's a lot of things that I did, like even stepping on my mat with yoga, doing a group class, doing a hot class. All of those things took courage. because you're always in your head. You know, this person's looking at me. What are they thinking? Am I doing the pose right? You know, I can't keep up with the class. It's so many things rushing through your head. And anybody who's been in a group class can relate to that. And I've overcome a lot in the last 6 years. Like in 2012, my mother passed. That's why I even needed something else to connect to. And I said, well, I have to do some type of practice. I mean, not practice, I have to do something. And that's when I seen a flyer. And then I started doing the Pilates and doing the hot. And then organically went into the yoga. But I had a rough time and I didn't really have a support when she passed. I just had my dog. And then my dog, Lucky, died last year, you know, in September. I got a cat now. I don't know where she's at. She's usually right in my face, but now she's
camera shy.
So I've overcome a lot of things in my life. And by doing yoga, it's put me in the mindset of being a better person and not being in a dark place because things could be so much worse. And that's what I try to do with anybody that I love and I care for. You know, I know a lot of things are rough and hard, but you're still here. You know, you got to keep it going, because there's a lot of things that happened to me that could have just broke me down, where I wouldn't been here speaking to you today, but I'm here. You know, you want to hear exactly what I need to say, and that's huge for me. And I'm in awe, and I want to say thank you to all for even wanting to do this interview with me to get my mindset of, you know, how and why I'm here. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. You never know. You send out the DM, hey, you never heard of me or my podcast. And you took a chance. I appreciate it.
I mean, I know you asked the questions, but I wanted to ask you, like, what was it that you decided to say, oh, I wanted to interview her with me?
Well, you must have liked one of my pictures, because usually what I do for discovering guests is I post something and then people like it. And so I already know that they're interested in one of the hashtags that I use. And then I look to see, are they somebody who's actively working to build their community online? Because then that really helps, that if we both do an interview, it's something you're going to want to share, and it's something that'll add value to your life, because I want it to be an even exchange.
Okay.
And you know, the majority of the guests that we interview here are women of color. So I saw you're a woman of color, and that you were doing yoga. And kind of what we've already spoken to is that I believe there's this misconception of where yoga comes from, who does yoga. And also, you know, like even with one of my studios that I'm at, I kind of put in a feedback that I was just like, all your teachers are white. Like, what's up with that?
Right.
And I thought it was anonymous. It was not. So they emailed me back right away and were super defensive. And I was like, look, you know.
What's up with it? Did they say what was up with it?
Oh my gosh, it was bogus. So they had someone who was a woman of color basically email me and tell me I was wrong, and that she, you know, I must be taking the wrong classes. So I was like, well, you know, I'm glad to hear that I'm wrong, but it's not something that you can take for granted, you know. And I guess it's just my experience, because all the classes I've taken have been either white women or gay white guys. And I got nothing against either demographic. But I do think that especially with yoga, we should be intentional in racial diversity for the teaching of it. And so I saw that that's what you're doing. So I was like, oh, I want to offer my platform as a place that you can use to speak your truth if you're interested. So that's why I reached out. Definitely. So, you know, when you were talking about how it took courage to get on the mat, or all these different things, what do you think is the emotional thing we deploy that has us go for it as opposed to holding back?
At that point, you don't have anything else to lose. When you get, most of the time when people get to yoga, they either have health issues, they are emotionally, physically, spiritually broken. So why not? You know, because when you're running around and you're working and you're doing all these other different things, you don't really have time for your health. You're just like, all right, I'll get to that. But when you do come to a place and when you get to yoga and then you find out what yoga is really about, it's because you needed it in your life. And it becomes a way of life. That's why I said it was important for me to do the certification, because I know it's more than just asanas. Asanas is Sanskrit for poses. Yoga is way more than that. It's way deeper than that. So I wanted to be certified because I know I want to do other things with it. And on a spiritual, emotional, physical level, you take what you learn with yoga, because once, when you get certified, you learn sociology, anatomy, the history of yoga. You get into all of that. You learn mudras, you learn Sanskrit, you learn all these different things, and you get so deep that you take that practice. It's a thing called namas and niyamas, which is a discipline and restraints in the way that you deal with life. So you take that off on your mat and off your mat. So that's when you become yoga, you're on a different level. So that's why it was important. I was like, I have to, get my certification. I have to get more deeper into this. It's not just about, tree poles and, back bends and splits. That's cool. I love it. I love the fact that I'm more flexible. My body is not even of a 47-year-old woman. It's more of a 30-year-old, maybe 25, because your body only knows what you are as far as what you give it. So I'm happy about that, but I know it's deeper mentally. And that's what, my journey was to get to it. But I was doing yoga for 2 years just to learn, like everybody else. You want to be, good in the practice. When you go to the groups and you go to class, you want to be good. You want to flow with the class. You want to be in it. So once I got to that point where I'm like, I'm cool about that. Now I have to be certified. I got to get it here.
It's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy and all of this positive vibrations that we're all being able to bring into our lives, whether I'm getting it live. I don't know. People could be listening to this 10 years from now and just something you said.
Live?
Huh?
We live?
Me and you are.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nobody else, just us. I wouldn't have done that to you. Don't worry. I'm like, yes, and here's the audience. That'd have been terrible form.
Okay.
What are the ways that people can reach out to you and join your community and tell you how much they appreciate you?
It's on Instagram, because I'm not really on Facebook too much, but Instagram. I'm gonna put my email up for Koi Core. And they can email me, they can DM me, and I'm very, very good at that. So if someone DMs me, I hit them back, and so they don't have to think, oh, I'm a DM, she's not gonna. That's not me. That is not me, y'all, at all. I will definitely DM back, and I will email back too.
Okay, dope. So what's the Instagram handle?
Koi, KOI _CORE. And my email is koikoyoga@gmail.com.
Okay. And for folks on the go, show notes are going to be tomearl.com/koi, tomearl.com/KOI. All of the links mentioned we will include. 2 last questions for you. What was the inspiration for your Instagram handle?
Oh, well, core, it works everything. You need your core for anything that you do, any and all things. Kois, they have different types of koi. They have black kois, they have red kois, and my favorite color is black and red, incidentally, but they represent adversity, overcoming obstacles, black koi. So it just made sense of what I was overcoming to pick koi, and red and black are my 2 favorite colors. So I said, it makes sense, Koi Core. And that's how that name came about.
It's powerful. Appreciate that. And my last question for you, I'd like for you to be able to have the last word, but just once again, I want to thank you so much and affirm you and sending all of the joy and love and blessings that can come your way.
Thank you.
My pleasure. my question is, what's your invitation for those listening? Invitation to do, be, hear, think, whatever it is. What's your invitation?
Invitation to be open. To just not live in fear and to be open to new and exciting challenges. That's why I came into what I'm doing today with yoga. It wasn't something planned. It wasn't something I see someone else doing that I wanted to do. It was something that I got into organically and my spirit led me to it. So just be open to just trying new things.
I mean, I dig it. Well,
Okay.
thank you once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. And I'll be speaking to you again, and we will definitely keep in touch. Let me know the ins and outs. And again, thank you.
My pleasure. And to everybody listening or watching, we're wishing you peace and blessings.
One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.